Alright, what's up YouTube? Doomwake here. We're back with another video. As you can see here today, not the traditional modern content, we get a little Pioneer stuff going on today. I actually participated in the Magic Online Championship, or excuse me, the Showcase Finals actually today as I'm recording this. And just to kind of give you a rundown of that event, there are showcase challenges at the end of each month, one for each format. And if you top 8 that event, you get to qualify for this event. And then the winner of that event gets to play the 8-man showcase. I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but basically the 8-man tournament, first place is 20K. So you have to top 8 an event, then win another event, and then you get to qualify for that. Full spoiler, I did not do very well in that event. I ended up going 1-3. And I played kind of something a little bit off the wall, I guess is the best way to put it. I had qualified with the 4-color Fires of Invention, Transmogrify, Agent of Treachery deck. And I was all set to play that in the event, but I don't know, I just wanted something that had a little bit more closing speed. I found myself with the 4-color Fires deck not being able to end games fast enough and going longer against Niv, which is something you don't necessarily want to do because they have a lot of ways to grind, a lot of card advantage. Niv is usually could be a 4 or 5 for 1. So I know I wanted to play Fires of Invention, but I wanted something with a little bit more closing speed. Now, if you have been paying attention to Standard, most of 2000 or a good portion of 2019, and I think into 2020 as well. I'm not exactly sure when Fires got banned. But this was a very, very big player in Standard. It was certainly the best deck at a couple points within its run during Standard, which is Jeskai Fires of Invention. Now, typically, the main goal of this deck, obviously, we have 4 Fires of Invention because that is the best card in the deck, and I guess the best way to describe it is we're all in, right? We have 4 Sphinx of Foresight, which is not the greatest card. However, if it's in your opening hand, you can reveal it, scry 3 on the first upkeep, and this digs you 3 cards to fire, so you can keep a 7-card hand without fires. If you have this, you can scry whatever 3 to the bottom. Basically, you're just looking for fires. You bottom everything that's not fires. And then in the same vein, it also, like, if you already have a hand with fires rolled up, helps you find a threat, or it helps you find one of your 2 or 3 mana answers to bridge the gap, which is good. We are playing the full complement, 4 Borrower, 4 Bone Crusher Giant. Now, the reason we have these instead of maybe some other removal spells like Chain into the Rocks, Justice Strike that you've seen in Standard list past, is because we have Karuga the Macrosage, which is a companion that says here, if it's your companion, you have to, your starting deck contains only cards with mana value 3 or greater. Okay. So we can't play Justice Strike, we can't play Chain of the Rock, so our interaction has to be in the form of the adventure creatures, which conveniently have a converted mana cost of 3. So they let you play Karuga. The reason I like Karuga so much is because it helps you sort of grind a little bit with Niv, but it's just, a card that when you run out of gas, something extra to do with, it's pretty good with fires. So that's why I wanted to play Karuga, and yeah, so the rest of the deck, we got some sweepers here, Anger and Clarion for the aggressive decks. And then we have a couple new additions. Obviously, your Cavaliers, which you've seen in decks before. The Kenrith, which, again, you've seen in Fires decks before. Basically, what your goal is play Fires, play a thing, whether it's a Sphinx or an adventure creature. And then the next turn, kind of just combo off, play 2 5-drops, whether it's 2 Red Cavaliers, a blue and a Red Cavalier, or these other ones, and you can give your entire team haste with these 7 cards. So if you think about it, you play Fires and a creature that on turn 4. The next turn you play 2 5-drop big creatures, give them all haste, attack your opponent. It's usually enough to kill them. So that's why we have the Red Cavaliers and the Kenrith to give our creatures haste. God Eternal Catcher was kind of a last-minute addition. I'm not sure how good this card is, but it is decent against decks that can't kill it on the spot, because you can, on turn 4 you fires and do a thing. On turn 5 you can play this and immediately get a 4/4 out of it, and then even if it dies, you still got a 4/4, and it's hard to kill, because even if they exile it, it still goes back into your deck. which is especially good with something like Castle Vantress because it puts it into your library third from the top. So let's imagine a scenario where you go God Eternal Ketra plus a thing, make a 4/4 pass. They kill your God Eternal, you put it third from the top, and you can, even if you're tapped out, you can castle Upkeep, put the top 2 cards in the bottom, and then immediately redraw the Oketra, keep going off from there. And then we have some additions from the new set. Lorehold Command, which is a card that stood out to me as really, really powerful with Fires of Invention. The modes are all, I guess they're sort of mediocre, but the most common play pattern that I've found with this card is basically it's just acts as, your Cavaliers 5 through 6, because you're only allowed to play 4 Cavalier Flames. If I could play more, I would. But similar in the same vein, you can go Fires and a thing on turn 4. Next turn, play, let's say, a Blue Cavalier and a Lorehold Command. You make a 3/2 and give all of your stuff +1/+1, indestructible, and haste. Attack with everything. So it acts as more ways to give your creatures haste. It also draws 2 cards, gains some life, kills a thing. It has a lot of utility in this deck, and I've been pretty impressed with it. Prismari Command is a little more underwhelming than I thought it was going to be. The common modes that I choose with this card are Loot, Draw 2, Discard 2, and Make a Treasure, which is kind of good because you have 8 lands that enter the battlefield tapped as your 4th land. So you might be in a spot where you have Fires of Invention, but your 4th land comes into play tapped. So what you can do is make a treasure, untap, play Fires of Invention with 3 lands in the treasure, play your 4th tap land, your 4th land that comes into play tapped, and then play a Sphinx or a 3-drop from there. So that's come up a couple of times. Just some more removal spells early in the game. It's not too bad. Destroy an Artifact hasn't come up yet, but yeah. I don't know. It's got a lot of utility. It acts as another removal spell early on. Helps you churn through excess lands because we do have a lot of lands in our deck to find gas once you have Fires. And it also just digs to Fires itself. So overall, not the most exciting card, but has some utility. I've been moderately impressed with it. And then the sideboard, we have 4 Disputes, which are a must when you're playing a Fires deck. Common play pattern with Dispute is you wait until turn 5 to play Fires with a mana up, dispute their counterspell. Say go with the Fires in play, and then you should be good to go from there. Because a lot of the control decks, specifically blue-black, doesn't really have a way to remove this from the battlefield. And once you've resolved a card like this against blue-black, it's really hard for them to keep up with the mana advantage that you've gained. We have 2 Elspeth and a Kenrith for when we need to go a little bit grindier. Excuse me, Elspeth Conquers Death. Specifically, Conquers Death has been really, really good against Niv. A good bit of their removal... Well, I guess some of their removal exiles, but in any case, just being able to come down, kill a Niv. The second chapter is actually decent against their Bring to Light turns, because they usually have to tap out for like Bring to Light plus if they want to play a non-creature spell, it costs 2 more. And then you can return Cavaliers. Also, the nice thing about this is you can discard, if you have nothing in your graveyard, you can discard an extra fatty from your hand and then reanimate it with ECD, which is kind of cool. And then we got some additional sweepers and Anger of the Gods for our aggressive decks. We got Wear Tears for the Fires Mirrors and Auras. And then we have Ley Lines for Phoenix and Jund Sacrifice. And then rounding out the deck, we have the mana base. We're going very heavy on Castle Vantress, because Castle Vantress is really, really good with Fires of Invention, because, let's say you play Fires, the turn after you have 5 mana, you can play a spell or 2 without using your mana and still activate Castle. So and it also just digs you to more gas once you have Fires in play. So Castle Vantress, really, really good. And then again, we have a whole bunch of Scry lands. This deck is just focused on finding Fires early and often and kind of going from there. We're going to hop into a 5-round Magic Online League with this deck. Before we continue, just remember, if you enjoy the content, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in just a little bit for round number 1. Alrighty, YouTube. We're back here for round number 1. We are on the draw. Alright, I'll go ahead and reveal our Karuga. The Macro Siege. Alright, so this is one of those hands where there's not a lot going on, but we do have 2 Scry lands to find a Fires, and we have some interaction in the form of Brazen Borrower. So this is, I think, on the lower spectrum of keeps, but given that we're on the draw with 2 Scry lands and a piece of interaction, I think I'm okay keeping it. It's close, though. Let's see arguments either way. Concealed Courtyard, so some sort of black aggressive deck, maybe humans. Let's lead on Blue-Red Temple. Definitely not looking for a Kenrith. We already have a 5-drop rolled up. Looks like there's still a bit of lag, unfortunately. It's been pretty bad the past couple of days. Hopefully it gets better at some point. Seasoned Hallowblade. Alright, looks like a human strategy if I had to guess. I think I'm down to just Temple again, and we can Temple Borrower next turn. Sucks bottoming 2 Cavaliers, because once we do find the fires, I guess we can shuffle them back in, so it's not too bad, but... kind of need to find... Assuming they play a creature this turn, we kind of need to find a sweeper. I know that the Hallowblade's not going to die if we draw a Clarion or an Anger, but... okay. Well, they can't take either of these, because Brazen Borrower in my hand is a creature. So that's not the end of the world. Now, take our 5. Go to 13. Let's see what we can find. Thought I bottomed you. This will be called the Scry Bug. Alright, pass. Think I'm going to Borrower in combat. I could end step the Borrower, but there's not a ton of reason to do that. They may fire up the Mutavault. What they might do this turn is fire up Mutavault, play Thalia's Lieutenant. Which then I have to bounce the Hallowblade, yeah. Yeah, now I have to bounce Hallowblade. And I basically have to draw a sweeper at this point. I'm going to take 8 damage this turn and go to 5. And if I draw a sweeper, I go to 2. I mean, I'm not in bad shape if I find a sweeper. But I am required to find one. That is not going to do it. Alright. Kind of ran over game 1. We do have some more Angers in the sideboard, which is good. I don't really think I want anything else. Whoops. Definitely not ECD. In matchups like this, I usually just kind of cut down on some of the more expensive cards. I think I prefer Lorehold Command to Kenrith and Oketra, just because it has the ability to, like, even just hardcasting this for 5 mana in combat, making a 3/2, killing a creature, gaining 3 life could be a pretty big tempo swing. I'm going to keep the Prismari Command as well, just as another piece of early interaction. And everything else, again, I'm going to keep the Sphinx's Fires, because Fires is just so important in this matchup, and keep all my cheap interactions. So let's do that. And remember, if you want to check out the deck list, I will put a link to the deck list below in the description. Alright, game number 2, we get to be in the play. And we have a turn 3 Anger with a Borrower, and we have Sphinx to find Fires. This hand seems great. Definitely going to keep this. This hand has essentially all we could ever want. The awkward part about Sphinx and Scrylands is if you top with Sphinx, then you have to play Scryland on turn 1 just so you don't mess up your curve. Oh, joke's on you, we're bottoming all 3 of these anyways. I guess I could keep the second Anger in case they have Freebooter for the first one. Which is probably actually reasonable. Yeah, because then we'll draw this, the Temple, to find our land 4. Yeah. I think it's reasonable to keep that. It's just, oops, excuse me, top. Almost bottom it. What was I going to say? I don't know. Risk adverse. Especially if they Thoughtseize me and they don't know that I have the other Anger on top. They might just take Anger and go wide. And then we just kind of blow them out on turn 3. Like if they take Anger and play 2 1-drops next turn. They did take Anger. Alright, let's play Temple. I mean, I don't hate drawing another Sweeper. mean, if we just keep a bunch of sweepers, how do we really lose to them? Right? I guess worst case is I top this and then kind of draw an expensive card the turn after, and my mana's a little choked up. But it is good against another Thoughtseize. I mean, if they Thoughtseize me next turn, they're not putting a lot of pressure in play, so I probably have time to get to my 4s anyways. So I think this is okay. I could see topping it there for sure. I think it's close. They're playing nothing here. Wow. Alright, I'll just keep playing tap lands. That was actually good, because now I can try to find fires. I can bottom that. I get 2 more shots at a land, plus bottoming that and finding fires would be so much better. I see. Maybe they think we're playing Transmogrify. We are not, though. Alright. Exile my anger. I'm just going to anger the next turn. I'll take 3. No reason to cast Borrower because we're just going to anger anyways. I could get greedy and play Sphinx. But if I play Sphinx and they have Thalia's Lieutenant, then both of these are out of anger range, so I don't really want to get greedy here. Just take my 2-for-1 while I can. Start deploying Sphinxes next turn. It's also really bad if they have Freebooter. Well, not as bad if they have Freebooter, because if I draw a land, I can go bounce Freebooter, then cast Anger, but then they're getting back a Freebooter, which is kind of awkward, so... Just take my 2-for-1 while I can. If I find a land, I'll just slam Cavalier. If not, I'll play Sphinx. We just have a handful of good cards. Obviously, if you find fires, this game's pretty easy, but... it's one of the weaker cards we could have drawn. I'm just going to cast Sphinx, I think. Oops. And then, assuming the Sphinx doesn't die, we can scry to try and find a land or a fires. Fires would not even be that bad, because then we can go Fire Sphinx. If they have a Lord, it's kind of annoying, because this can attack through this with a Lord. That's kind of like a Lord. But, now if they load up twice on this, I can just bounce it if I want to. I'll take 4 this turn for sure. We have a 1-drop. Okay. Let's see what we have on top. Bone Crusher Giant. That's actually pretty good because I get to kill this and bounce this. Yeah. It's not a land, but... Alright, kill this. I don't know what they could have, and they know about the Borrower. Could have some kind of, like, God's Willing or something like that that I would not want to run into. I think it's fine attacking here. We're actually kind of racing them a little bit here. 10, they can for us play Hallowblade if they have a land. But then we can maybe slam a Sphinx, which can then block the 3-1 now that it doesn't have a counter on it anymore. That doesn't do anything. It's really nice that we have these spells, quote-unquote, which act as... or creatures that act as spells. Especially against Kitesail Freebooter, specifically. We'll take our 2. Ideally, I just want to find a land. Then I can double spell. I can bounce something and play a 3-drop. Definitely do not want another 5-drop. Prismari Command. What's the worst that could happen if I attack with Sphinx? Play another Sphinx. They fire up Mutavault, play Lieutenant. 4, 7, 10. If I block here, I would take lethal, so I'd have to chump here. They discard a card. We know that one of their cards... Oh, no, they played the Howlblade. What if I played Sphinx and didn't attack? Because we are still threatening lethal next turn if we find a land, because we can bounce the Freebooter, Prismari Command, deal 2 to them, and attack for 8. So maybe just Sphinx Go is the best play, and we get 2 shots at a land. And then if they have Lieutenant, they can't really attack with anything but this. We'll just take 4, and then if we don't find a land, you know, yeah, this is good. Because we are still threatening lethal next turn. I don't want to get too aggressive. Black Thoughtseize. Okay, now they get to take command. I guess that was a reason to cast command. I mean, you have a Karuga over here, but I can't imagine that the game's going to come down to this. So we don't know what their last card is. Awkward mana is awkward. I'm going to bottom that. Oh, that's pretty good. I wonder if they have the thing that gives their stuff indestructible. That'd be kind of awkward if they had that, but... I forget what it's called. Unbreakable Formation. They don't have that. Alright, game 3. So... Any changes? I don't think so. The 5 drops are even worse on the draw, so... I think everything is fine here. Did not even need fires that game. He also drew a lot of sweepers, which usually helps out in a matchup like this. Alright, we got the hippo. Sand is a little awkward, because it's a 2-lander. We have 2 borrowers, though, to buy us some time. Kind of tempo them out. And if they have Kitesail Freebooter to take fires, we can, you know, on turn 3. We have to find lands, though, obviously. This hand just needs lands, essentially. Although, maybe this hand's not good enough. Maybe, like, on the draw against... I need to find a sweeper anyways. So maybe this hand is required to find a land, and like 2 lands and a sweeper? I don't know. With turn 4 fires with 2 borrowers back up. I think this hand's really close. We have 28 lands in our deck, though. And a lot of them are scry lands. I'm going to keep it, but I could definitely see this hand being a mulligan. I think it's close. Yep. Alright, there's Scryland number 1. Definitely do not want a Sphinx. Scryland there was essentially perfect. So now we can Borrower on 2, tap land, Borrower on 3, Fires on 4. Dahlia's Lieutenant. Interesting. Leads me to believe they don't really have any other 2-drops in their hand. Because I would imagine if they had something like... What's the card? The Seasoned Hellblade. I imagine if they would have played that, and Kitesail Freebirder they probably would have played if they had it, so... Maybe their hand is just a bunch of Lieutenants? In any case, I'm just going to Island Go. Next turn I can... we're going to probably Petty Theft this turn. Next turn we can go Tap Foundry, Petty Theft again. And then Fires the turn after. I wonder if they had that last turn and decided to lead on Lieutenant. That would be kind of weird, though. I feel like you would always rather Howlblade first. I'm just going to take this and end step the Borrower, Because if I bounce the champion in combat, they just get to replay it, so it doesn't tempo them out as much. Yeah. I guess I could just bounce this. It's more mana next turn. It's probably fine. Okay. It's not a horrendous draw. Not the best. Not the worst. I feel like this is the turn that they're going to freebooter me. Maybe they were saving it until the turn before my 4th to get the most amount of looks at taking fires. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Now I think I think I have to bounce the champion now. Actually, I'm kind of in a pretty bad spot, right? Because I take 5 here, go to 7. Then I have to go to 5 to play fires. And then my only thing that I can cast after fires is a borrower. So yeah, this is actually not good enough. We need a sweeper. Actually, sweeper's not even good enough. Maybe I should have bounced this. Well, this is, I guess, the issue with the Fires deck. If I was in the play this game, I probably would have won, but yes, the best I can do is go to 5, play Fires, play Borrower, dead on board, so yeah, unfortunate. We have 5 sweepers in our deck, we didn't draw one. I guess, I think I messed this game up, though. I should have bounced this. Well, no, because if I bounce this, I take 8, right? 3, 6, 8. I go to 4. And then I cast the sweeper. No, that would have been good enough, right? Because I bounced this, sweep this, and the champion. They put me to 2. Oh, my land was a shockland anyway, so I go to 2, fire sweeper, then they kill me with the mutavault anyway. So maybe I just had no outs. Yeah. Anyways, sweet game. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you back in just a little bit for round number 2. Alrighty, YouTube. We're back here for round number 2. We lost the die roll, playing some Pioneer Jeskai Fires. Our opponent shows us a Yorion. Sand is no bueno. So Yorion usually either means Sultai or 4-color fires. 2 Bone Crusher Giants against the Yorion deck is not the most exciting proposition. That being said, the Sand has mana to cast fires. Just keep and put back the command. I think so. It's not great, but Bone Crusher Giant is usually not very good against Yorion decks. Savai Triumph, so likely Sultai. Could be Niv, I guess. I don't think I want another Sphinx. Just gonna curve out with some slightly undercosted creatures. I guess a 3-mana 4/3 is like about average rate, but 4-mana 4/4 not so much. As is classic Scrybug. What would we do without the Scrybug? White, white, green. Yorion? Okay. Stomp you. Alright, 4/3 time. I think it's funny that we kept a hand with no Sphinxes, which is obviously Sphinxes at its best when it's in your opening hand, and then we just immediately drew 2 copies. Man, that's great. Green, blue, white, red. They could play Omnath if they have it, which they do. Oh. 5-color fires. I wonder if this is like some sort of Doom Foretold deck? Has to be, right? Alright, well, let's play a Sphinx. Not drawing a Fires there was really unfortunate. Fires would have been so good there. Fires into Sphinx to find land 5 to cast Cavalier. But no such luck. Yeah, this deck... I mean, I think you could probably say the same thing about a lot of Fires decks, that they're just not that good when they don't have Fires. But I think this deck in particular, because it is so loaded up on 5-drops, more so than the other Fires decks. I don't know what's going on here. Step you may sacrifice another enchantment. If you do, search for a creature card with mana value equal to 1+ the sacrifice enchantment's mana value, put the card in its battlefield, then shuffle. Okay. So they can get a 3-mana creature here. I haven't seen that card before. Kind of cool, though. We got Archon of Emeria. It's an awkward one to get when they have Fires in play. They're strange. Could kill this and get a 4/4, or I could just play another 4/4. It's probably better to just play another 4/4. Try and hit land drops for Cavalier. I guess they kind of get to double spell with Archon, because if they play an enchantment as their one spell, they can then sack it to get a creature. So say they have another trial, they can trial my Sphinx and then sack the trial, so it's kind of like they're double spelling. Whoa. So they can sack this to get a 5-drop. Wonder what 5-drops they have. I imagine they're going to be sacrificing the second incarnation. So yeah, we're just looking for a blue source to cast Cavalier. Fires is no longer a good draw because they have Archon in play. Even a Clarion or an Anger would be good here. Whoa. Okay. May sack Fires to get another 5-drop. What's that? Cavalier of Dawn. What's this card do? Destroy up to one target non-land permanent. Oh, and now they can reanimate my... Jesus. Well, that's bad. Yeah, we're dead. Well, that was a beating. Sideboarding. We got some Wear Tear for our Fire's Mirror. And we have Disputes. I'm going to sideboard similar to how I sideboard against Niv. I think Bone Crusher Giant's pretty bad. I think all the sweepers are generally pretty bad. I guess maybe there's some argument to keep the sweepers in this matchup because they have Archon. But I can always just bounce Archon and then kind of do some stuff with Fires. I think I'm also going to cut Prismari Command. Doesn't seem like it kills a lot of stuff. And I guess sideboarding like this is weird because I don't have any outs to Skyclave Apparition. So, kind of want to keep all my big stuff, though. I'm trying to think if I want to keep in any number of 3-mana sweepers so I can kill Archon instead of Lorehold Command, because Lorehold Command does kill Archon, but it's 5 mana. So I kind of want the ability to be able to kill Archon on curve, because with this configuration, Archon is a lot better against me, because I'm very heavily reliant on Fires. On the play, I think I'll try this. Go from there. Alright, what do we have here? We have a hand with good mana. We have a Wear Tear for an Incarnation or Fires. We have a Borrower, and we have a Sphinx. Alright, I'll keep it. Sphinx to dig for Fires, because that's kind of all we're missing at this point. I'm just going to bottom every land, I think. Yeah, I think it's more important to find fires. And I have enough lands in my deck where even if I put a fires on top, I'm like very likely to hit land 4 on curve anyways. So it's just with this hand, fires is too important. I'm just gonna keep bottoming lands. Obviously, it sucks if I bottom lands and just draw more expensive cards, but I think it's worth it to just try and find fires. Okay. I assume they take probably Wear Tear. If I had to guess. Took Brazen Borrower. Okay. Gives them information as to what we drew, but... Alright. Now that we found land 4, we can definitely keep bottoming lands. Like, we do technically need a land for Cavalier on 5, but we have Sphinx to potentially find that, and we can also just naturally find a land. I don't think I want to play this untapped to represent Borrower. I don't think my life total matters that much. Just play it untapped. Make them think about Borrower / Hardcast Dispute on a non-blue card. Elspeth Conquers Death is not a bad draw for sure. We have Archon. Alright, that's fine. Just play a Sphinx. Kind of awkward if I play Sphinx and they have an Incarnation, but they don't have anything to sacrifice and we can just blow it up with Wear Tear, so... Oh, right. We can't play Sphinx. Right. I forgot about that. I mean, I still wouldn't have main phased the Borrower. I'm probably going to end step the Borrower, though. Maybe. Maybe just hardcast it. Sphinx creatures come into play tap too, right? Oh, just non-basic lands? Well, I could try and trade with it. That's actually probably pretty good. I actually kind of like that. I do want to get it off the battlefield, I think. Maybe they have another one? Or they were just baiting me because they wanted to resolve fires. Nope, they don't have fires. Ooh. That was a good draw. Let's do that. They don't even have blue mana up, so they can't counter it. I suspect they're going to end up killing my fires end of turn. Oh, Cycle Triome. Also fun with that. See, that was a spot where I kind of wish I had land 5. So I could go, you know, Fires Cavalier. But hopefully whatever they do this turn, I can just ECD it. That's kind of whatever. Let's see if they also have Nylea's Presence. So this makes their land every type. Okay. Alright, land would be nice. Alright, let's go... Cavalier first. And if we brick, we can still Karuga here, so even if we miss on a good card here... Alright, let's just... Do I want a Karuga, or do I want a Cavalier again? Honestly, I kind of want to save the Karuga for after I fetch. So let's put these two back. Let's Cavalier again. We're kind of just cycling these. We're not really getting any value, because we do have the fetch for the quote-unquote brainstorm fetch, but... Alright, so I'm going to shuffle away the steam vents next turn. So let's do this. Put Karuga in my hand. And I have enough gas in the tank that I don't really need to scry here. So I'd rather just use my mana to put Karuga in hand. There's a decent chance we can just kill them next turn. Unless they kill fires, but if they're killing fires, then they're probably not touching my Cavaliers, and they're just taking a bunch of damage. So I think we should be fine. I hope. Green, green, black, red. Alright, fires, and they have a sweeper? Alright, so they can blink the trial and the presence. Is that a Yorgan in their deck? It is, because they didn't companion that. Okay, good to know. Alright, I will sacrifice Cavalier of Gales. Oh, right, that shuffles my library. Are they dead? 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14... If I kill the Yorion with ECD and Cavalier Haste, that's 6, 11, 13. Even if I find a red source, it's 15. So what I think I might do this turn is ECD this, Wear Tear this. Let's try and cut them off as much as possible. Dispute's obviously terrible with the fires in play. I'm just trying to think if I should keep this. Yeah, I think that one's good enough the turn after, because then I can go Command and Cavalier. I think this one's pretty good. Like I say, unless they have a Wear Tear, that would be awkward. Alright, so... let's ECD the Yorion first, and then Wear Tear this. What if I Karuga Cavalier? If I Karuga Cavalier and find a red source, they're forced to chump with this, but then they get to untap with fires, which I think could cause some issues. So let's just kill their stuff. ECD that. Tear this. And we can attack for 5 and scry. We're kind of just chilling. And now, even if they kill the fires on their turn, we get to cast this command now, which is dope. Like if they play a Skyclave Apparition, we then get to cast the command. Because the fires is no longer in play. Trial of Ambition. Alright, that's fine. We'll sack the Cavalier. Shuffle it in and scry. I do want a red source, but I want an untapped red source. So let's bottom this, top this. Incarnation. Okay. And I think what I was saying last turn is about to happen. I think they're going to sack this and get a Skyclave to kill my fires, and then I'm going to be able to cast this, make a 3/2, and kill their Skyclave. Yeah, same thing. Alright, fire's down. Yeah, this is actually good for us. Because now we get to do this. So 3 to any target, make a 3/2, I think? Make a 3/2, 3 damage, gain 3 life. And then we have Cavalier on top, which we can cast. We can also cast Karuga here. Is that better? Let me draw 1 card off of it, though. I think I'd rather Cavalier. Potentially shuffle away, or I guess shuffle. So we'll put Dispute on top, and we'll hide... Probably hide the Fires of Invention. Because then, let's say they draw Thoughtseize. They Thoughtseize the Cavalier, we can then go Fires Karuga. Draw 3, which I think is better. If we keep the Fires in hand and hide the Cavalier, they just take the Fires and we can't cast the Cavalier, so I think that's worse. It's a good spot, though. Not really sure what 3-mana creature they can get here. I guess they can, I mean, they could technically get an Archon of Emeria to stop me from going Fires Cavalier, but then they just have to trade for the 3/2 and go to 3 anyways. So that's not even that good. I'm also getting back something with Elspeth Conquers Death here. So they get to blink Presence and Trial, which is completely fine because I'll just sack this. Unless they can get a 3-mana card that kills this, because then they can force me to sack the Cavalier. Oh, well, they didn't... if they did that, they didn't stack the triggers correctly. Right, let's say they get like a 3-mana 3/2, or a 3-mana creature that deals 2 damage. They can kill this, and then the Enigmatic resolves, and then... I guess it'd be the same thing, right? No, because they just resolve this before the Yorion trigger. Yeah, okay. So they resolve Enigmatic, get a thing, kill my 3/2, resolve the Trial, make me sack the Cavalier. Reflector Mage. Okay, that's fine. So now we get back... Sphinx, I guess? I mean, we're going to go Fires, Red Cavalier, Haste, attack with everything. So it's probably better to Sphinx. They get to trade with the Sphinx, which is moderately annoying, but... This... I think I'm not going to discard anything. Oh, they don't, because it comes into play with the counter, right? Yeah, I want to keep my cards. My cards are good. Alright, attack with both. They have to chump block. Likely just chump block with Reflector and take 6. Which is probably good enough for me. Not sure what they can do from here. Chumping both, huh? Okay. Omen of the Sea. Wonder what that can find them. Again, more 3-mana cards. More Reflector Mages, maybe. Guess they could Reflector this, make me not be able to cast it next turn. Another Trial. Renegade Rallier. So now they can get back Trial. Make me sack Sphinx. Okay. Now they can sack this for Reflector Mage and bounce this, but then I can just cast these two. I mean, they're like preventing themselves from dying, but we're up so many cards, I don't really see how they get out of this. Imagine they get Reflector here. Or another Rallier. Alright, that's reasonable. Again, we're just up so many cards. I'm actually not going to scry on upkeep with the castle. Wait, don't I know what the top card is? It's a land, isn't it? I'm trying to think, because I kind of want to Cavalier and leave myself the opportunity to haste it. That's why I don't want to scry, because if I scry, I only have 1 mana untapped. So if I find another red Cavalier, I won't be able to play it and haste. So I think I'll just draw. I believe it was a Sacred Foundry, right? Oh, it was the Dispute. Okay, yeah. Alright, let's lead on Cavalier. Let's put back Dispute. Wait, no, let's do it this way. Borrower, then Dispute. Play Temple, bottom Dispute. Cavalier again. Yeah, let's do it that way. Borrower, then Dispute. Play Temple. And I think I do want to draw the Dispute, or the Borrower. Excuse me. So I could Karuga here and draw 2. I think I'd rather Cavalier. And then I can end step Castle to shuffle or scry 2 bad cards away. Let's... I'm going to top the Cavalier in case they have Thoughtseize. Yeah, let's do that. Pass. And we can Castle in a turn. Just going to yield until their end step. There is a bit of lag going on. Again, it's not as noticeable as it was on, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but it is still pretty bad. I hope they fix it soon. This is only game 2, and both of our clocks are getting pretty low. I guess Scarab God would be the one way they could get out of this. Oh. Well, that's actually fine, because... yeah, this should be game. Because I can Borrower the Deputy, get 2 Cavaliers, and then Red Cavalier haste them. Yes, this should be game. Unless they have something weird. Oh, they can... Right, they can sack a 2 and get a Skyclave and kill the Fires. Right. Okay. So we're still playing. Oh no, I just let that go and then bounce the Deputy. Yeah, okay. Sure. Because then I can cast spells again. Right. They have no flying blockers. Alright. Should be going to game 3 here in just a moment. Alright, game 3. That was a wild game. I thought I was miles ahead and they kept, trying to claw back in. The more I see out of their deck, the more I think these sweepers are actually really good. It kills every single creature, with the exception of Scarab God. But it kills Deputy, it kills Rallier, kills Skyclave, Knight of Autumn. I'm just not sure what I would want to cut for them. Maybe the Lorehold commands are too slow. 5 mana to kill a creature that they got value out of is not really where I want to be. So we could do 2 of those for 2 Clarions. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. I don't want too many sweepers, but I don't hate having access to it. As I'm seeing more of their deck. This hand is no bueno. Not enough lands, no Sphinx. I think if you replace one of these borrowers with the Sphinx I could consider keeping. You do tend to keep a lot of one-land Sphinx hands. Because you get to look at so many cards with Sphinx. I was trying to think if the mana base wasn't optimized for Sphinx. Because Fabled Passage is kind of awkward with Sphinx, because if you top, 2 or 3 cards and you have to fetch on turn 1, like let's say your hand has 3 lands and you have like Temple, Passage. I guess you still can't cast a 2 on turn 2 anyways. Anyways, I think I'm going to keep this and ship a 5. Which 5 am I shipping? Like Kenrith? Kenrith is easier to cast than ECD, but ECD is higher upside. So I think I'm going to keep the ECD. Alright, Steam Vent stepped. Your move. Oh, my camera's out of focus. I don't know why that happens. 1 second here. That should be better. Much better. Nylea's Presence. Okay. Right on time. Let's play the castle here. Specifically for Archon purposes. Although if they play Archon, I'm probably just going to bounce it anyways. What does this card do? Enters the battlefield, search library for a base land card revealed, put in your hand. Pay 7 mana, sack it. You gain 2 and draw 2 cards. Cool. Alright. Cool card. A thing that gets value. Enchantment that gets value that they can sack to Incarnation. I don't really think I want to bounce either of these things, because it just gives them more value, so I'm probably not going to do that. So, let's take our turn. And let's go Island Go. There's a chance I might just cast Brazen Borrower here. Although if they go Fire's Incarnation, I'm just going to bounce it, untap, Fire's Sphinx, probably? Just casting Incarnation. Alright, definitely going to bounce Incarnation. So I don't want them triggering that this turn. Now, I don't necessarily want to cast Fires quite yet. Especially because Fires is helping me cast ECD, so what I think is going to happen is they're going to replay Incarnation, sack a 2, like let's say I play Sphinx. The Incarnation, sack a 2, get Skyclave the Sphinx. Then, even if I don't find white mana, I can just go Fires, land, ECD, kill the Incarnation. Whereas, if I go Fires Sphinx, they kill my Fires, and then I won't necessarily be able to cast ECD. So, I think I'm just going to Sphinx here. I guess I should have played the Sacred Foundry. So that way, if they Thoughtseize me, take Fires, and then I draw a white source, like if they go Thoughtseize Incarnation, I can then go, have the Sacred Foundry in play, white source, ECD. That's a lot worse for me. Because now they're going to Incarnation sack a 2 and get Archon. And I can't go Fires ECD. So that's bad. Yep, I did get punished. That is unfortunate. Oh, and they have the Archon, right. Wow, that is really awkward. All right, I guess we're passing. I forget about Archon's the non-basic land ability all the time. All the time. I guess even if I had played Sacred Foundry, the passage still would have came into play tapped, so it wouldn't have mattered. They're just not going to attack here, right? I would assume. Yeah. This is bad. It's all bad. And their deck is sweet. I don't know if it's good, but their deck is sweet. Alright, what do I do here? I mean, I have to play this because I need to ECD next turn. So, let's cast Red Cavalier, I guess? I'll be discard the castle. Because I need to keep the White Source. It's not the worst. Leave this back to trade here. So hopefully we get to ECD the Incarnation next turn. And then we're kind of just chilling. Kill my Cavalier. This is not good. Now they can get a 5-drop with Binding. Yeesh. Yeesh. We got kind of brown this game. Can't even block. Right. Yeah. Alright, I've seen enough. Yeah, that was interesting game. Interesting match. Not really sure what to say about our opponent's deck, but yeah, their deck was cool. But anyways, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the games, and I'll see you back in just a little bit for round number 3. Alrighty, YouTube. We're back here for round number 3. Currently 0-2, trying to turn it all around. Did 5-0 with this deck yesterday. Alright, opponent shows us Aluris. We have some Scrylands and a Sphinx. So I think this is okay. Try to aggressively look for a sweeper, because you usually need sweepers against the Aluris decks. But we get a lot of looks at it, so. Bottom, bottom, bottom. Blade Temple, bottom. At least we're not drawing 4 lands, right? Something, there's something to be said about that. Auras, Heroic. Heroic probably not the best matchup, especially if they target that thing twice, it gets out of range of a lot of our spells. Well, the old bottom 4 lands draw land anyways. Probably have to keep that because it is interaction, even though I really want to find a Fires. Okay. Did they keep a 1-lander? Looks like they did. Trying to think if there's any reason to Karuga here. I don't think so. I'm just going to play Hallowed Fountain. Hold up Petty Thefts. If they do anything fancy, I'll Petty Theft. If not, I'll probably get a Petty Theft out of turn anyways, but... No blocks. I mean, if they missed on land drop and they have something like Defiant Strike, they probably have to cast it here. Because they can't just sit here and do nothing, right? So maybe they have God's Willing. I mean, if they do nothing, I probably just won't even cast this. I just don't even want to let them use their mana, you know? And I could just play this next turn, and then if they, like, make this super big, I can bounce it next turn. Yeah, that should be fine. No reason to act. Fires would have been good, but... let's save the fetch land. I mean, I know I'm going to get red mana with this anyways, so let's just get it. Need W. Alright, Sphinx go. They might cycle a Defiant Strike end of turn. Nope, they didn't. Alright, they did find their second land. They attack, I'm not going to block. I don't think. Okay. Maybe I block now? No, because they still get me with Titan Strength. What if I block Lumimancer? No, still get me with Titan Strength. If I take... I end up taking 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Reckless Rage. Okay. So I take 9. Okay. Go to 9. Next turn I bounce the Hoplite. Still could die to the Lumimancer, though. I guess I'm just gonna bounce both of their things. Why not, right? Try and borrow into, or try and scry into a Fires. How about another Cavalier? Actually, I don't think that's good enough. I think I need to find Fires. Or another removal spell, like a Sweeper. Because if they just deploy a thing next turn... I guess they could deploy 2 things. Okay. And like a Boros Charm. Put me to 3. Yeah. It gets the favorite Hoplite out of Clarion/Anger range, which is bad. Go to 6. Well... Trying to think if there's a reason to Temple/Cavalier first. I'm just gonna Temple first. That doesn't kill either of their creatures, so that's probably not good enough. I don't really know what is good enough at this point. Another Barber to bounce this, maybe? But we assume they kind of have Titan Strength anyway, so we're probably just dead next turn. Because they, like, kind of paused for a little bit the turn that they had Reckless Rage, and I thought they were going to attack and then try to get me to block instead. So we are dead to Titan Strength. We block here, it's 6. Block here, it's... Yeah, no matter what we block, we're dead. Also dead to that. Okay. Game 2 against Red-White Heroic. Anger of the Gods, good. I don't think Wear Tear is actually good. I don't think they have any targets. And that's about it. And we'll just cut some of the 5s. Trim down the curve a little bit. Nothing else in our sideboard really does much, so... Good there. Yeah, as I said before in the intro, I think this matchup, like this deck slash auras, like the black white auras, the Abzan auras deck, I think that matchup might just be bad because a lot of your removal spells don't touch most of their creatures once they get out of range, like Anger and Deafening Clarion. So it's possible you need some Chain of the Rocks and maybe stray away from Karuga, or just sideboard Supreme Verdict, because Supreme Verdict kills everything no matter what. Just like a more versatile sweeper. I mean, I have turn 3 Anger, and I have Fires. I guess I don't have turn 3 Anger, because I don't have 2 red sources. Well... Honestly, I think this matchup is bad enough that I kind of have to keep and get lucky. I mean, I guess hypothetically, any hand with a Bone Crusher Giant could be better, because I could just Bone Crusher their thing on turn 2. Like, they play a 1-drop and then I just kill it. This hand is so risky. How many red sources am I playing? Fabled Passage counts as the first draw step, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 14, 18. 17 outer. It's like 33%. 66 with 2 draw steps. Man, it's more than a coin flip. I'll keep it. We are like slightly ahead of a coin flip to get there, so I think this hand. I mean, this hand, if we draw a red source, I think this hand is almost as good as it gets. Although that being said, we don't actually have anything to do with Fires the turn that we cast it. Like, we don't have a 3-drop or a Sphinx, anything like that. That is the worst draw in the deck. Very easily. I guess maybe like another Cavalier might be worse, but just 5 mana card. I assume they're just going to leave up a mana for some kind of protection spell. Okay, your move. Maybe try and bait their protection spell with a Brazen Borrower, especially if they cast a spell pre-combat. My best way to win might just be like force them to use their protection spell, and then I can untap, rip a land, go Fire's Anger. I actually kind of want them to use it in combat. It's kind of tough. Because if they also just do nothing, then I'm in a spot where do I even cast the Borrower at that point? Do I still Petty Theft one of these? Because if I do that and find a land and go Fire's Anger, now one of these is still in their hand, which I don't, you know what I mean? Because I kind of want to get both of these. I think I'm just going to take this and probably not cast Borrower. Maybe. We'll see what they do. If they just say go with 3 mana open, maybe they have Boros Charm. Oh, that's awkward. We already went to damage. A little bit of poor timing on their part. That should be at 9. Yeah, I'm just not going to cast it. Because then if I draw a land, if I don't draw a land, I can just hold it up next turn anyways. That's not bad. I mean, if they can't protect one of their creatures, we're in a pretty good spot, I think. I'm still going to cast the Anger because even if they have Titan Strength, they can only save one of them. Or God's Willing. I assume they have something to save one of them. Yeah. I mean, we can also potentially just gain 6 life next turn if we find a land. We can just cast 2 of these. We can make 2 2/3s, gain 6 life. Or 2 3/2s, excuse me. That's if we don't die. We could die here. But if we don't die and draw a land, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Oops. Awkward. This has been an interesting match, to say the least. Did not draw a land, but we can cast Anger and Borrower. So let's Anger first. See if we can bait something out, maybe like a Boros Charm. We have another God's Willing. Okay. They have 2 God's Willings. Okay. Well, I have to cast this now because I can't cast spells on their turn with fires in play. So let's just bounce this, because we can't do anything else, and I'll put Karuga in my hand. We're at 10. Now they have a Swift Spear in their hand. Bouncing the Swift Spear just because it makes them use a mana and might tie up some of their stuff. Like, they missed a land drop, their deck's light on lands. They could just go Swift Spear, put Luris in hand, but I mean, if that's their turn, then I think we're in an okay spot, especially if we find a land. If we find a land, I think we're a huge favorite. Okay. 3, 4, 8. Boros Charm is 8 damage. Dread Horde Arcanist. Okay. Yeah, if we find a land, I would say this game is probably over. So we get to kill both of their things, make 2 3/2s, and gain 6. So, should be good to go if we find a land. If we don't find a land and draw another 5-drop, well, we're dead on board. So, let's not do that. One of those days, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess we're not technically dead. That's rough. I'm actually debating not casting Borrower, because if I cast Borrower, it gives them a target for Reckless Rage, which is another point of damage that they might not be able to, you know what I mean? I'll just cast it. Alright, pass turn. Man, land in that game was over on the spot. Oh well. Good beats. We were playing 28 lands for a reason, and this is why. Maybe they don't realize we can't cast spells with fires. They might play around something. Doubt it. It's unfortunate. Yep, alright, we're dead. Man. Well. Holy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more draw steps for land 5 in our 28 land deck. That's how the cookie crumbles, I guess. I'm at 0-3. I think I'm going to drop the league. Let's just go ahead and talk about the deck real quick. Yeah, I don't really like playing out leagues at 0-3, so I'll give you a couple rounds of content just to give you an idea of how the deck operates and things like that. But that was not a great showing. Obviously, we didn't win a match. I think we need to figure out a way to make the Auras matchup better. Maybe, again, I was talking about Chain of the Rocks, potentially Supreme Verdict. But the deck is kind of tight on spells. You could maybe trim 1 or 2 of the 5 mana cards and maybe the Prismari commands, and that's how you would get the Chain of the Rocks in the deck, and then you would not be a Karuga deck at that point, obviously. You could still potentially sideboard Karuga, and then when you cut Chain of the Rocks, that's when you reveal it in the post-board games, because it is good against like some of the blue decks. As far as the sideboard is concerned, I mean, I like my plan against Niv with ECD, Dispute, and Kenrith. The ley lines, I don't know. I've yet to bring them in. I think they're good, obviously in certain matchups, but how many of those matchups exist is the question you have to ask yourself. And is it worth it playing it just for a couple of matchups? And the mana base might need a little bit of work. I think maybe there needs to be another, especially if we're going to play Chain of the Rocks. We probably have to get the full complement of Sacred Foundries to be able to cast it early, because that is very important. But yeah, I'm not very impressed with Prismari Command. It's kind of been fairly lackluster, and I think there needs to be more removal spells for Heroic. So that's my take on, that's my kind of my thoughts on the deck. It's a lot of fun if you do enjoy. I mean, I don't really know for people who would have enjoyed this style of deck in Standard, but if you did enjoy the style of deck in Standard, I think there's something here. Again, we got to work on some of the numbers a little bit, but it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, thank you again for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.